Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Ed Block CourageCast, leading up to the NFL Draft 1 week to go. And unfortunately, I'm the only one that got drafted this week to do the show. Wally Williams is somewhere right now getting close to landing in Wichita, Kansas. He is not here. Dwayne Brooks, former athletic trainer, is getting his work with his softball team. They have a game tonight, and Dwayne Clemens is off getting his gym work done. So, sorry everybody, you're just stuck with me, but we have a great show in store for you tonight nonetheless. You'll hear from 2024 Ed Block Courage Award recipient Dalton Wagner of the Raiders from Ed Block Weekend, and a conversation about WWE. And stay tuned, you'll want to hear how that connection comes up, and you'll also hear from Baltimore Ravens 2024 Ed Block Courage Award recipient Keaton Mitchell. But as the NFL Draft closes into a week away, we figured who better than a guy that we now call friend of the show, longtime NFL scout with the New York Giants, still does some film watching on the side. Kind enough to join us, Steve Verderosa. Steve, it is great to see you. Welcome back to the show. We talked already jokingly that sorry that it's just me, but thank you for coming back on.
No, anytime. Listen, I'm just humbled that you still want me around after all these years, and it's my pleasure.
And we're going to talk a lot about the NFL Draft here in a moment, but I would be remiss if we didn't start with the Aaron Rodgers conversation he had with Pat McAfee today. And there's some hurt feelings there with how the Jets' tenure ended. He felt slighted that the Jets flew him all the way across the country to have a conversation. And basically it ended with them saying, okay, yeah, thanks. We're kind of done. And what ended up being, in his words, a 45-minute conversation where he thought they'd pick his brains for hours. So, Steve, as a former scout.
Yeah, watch your mouth.
Yeah, I apologize on that one. Is it totally uncommon that they have short meetings with guys that are leaving as free agents?
It's very prevalent. And I think in this case, if you just did it over the phone, he'd be miffed. You brought him across the country and it wasn't what he wanted to hear, he's miffed. I am obviously not involved in the situation at all, but look, if it was the same general manager and the same coach that played for or worked under, you could look at it different, but there's a whole new regime in New York. There's a new general manager, there's a new head coach, and they're not tied to him at all. So, Aaron Rodgers obviously is a great player, was a great player in Green Bay, and has a big reputation and legacy. But as far as these guys are going, they're moving forward. And I did not watch the show today. I was putting some things on my porch. So I'm sorry if I didn't see it. But I just think he's asking a little too much of a new regime that has no ties to him. So, you know what? You played a long time, move forward. If you want to keep playing, write a new chapter with a new team, and you be miffed all you want. The bottom line is, if you played better and the team was better, you'd still be there. So that's my take on this whole thing.
So my question to you on the Aaron Rodgers, before we get into a lot of the draft stuff, if he came up to you and asked you for advice, what would you tell Aaron Rodgers to do right now? Because it feels like, to me, after hearing him talk the last couple times, I think he should retire. He sounds like a guy that is retiring to me. What would you say to him?
Listen, if you're not all in, then get out. That's all I have to say. And look, again, a guy that has his reputation, with everything that he's accomplished, with his playing ability, all right, you think you're above it all, and you're not. New team, new coach. You want to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Then stop dragging your feet and get in with Mike Tomlin and his staff and learn their system and be a part of their culture and get after it, if that's what you want to do. But if you don't really want to do it, then hey, then walk away. No one's going to say anything different about you. You know, you were a great player. You did a lot of great things, but look, you got to be totally invested. And what he did in New York, not being there in the off season, showing up, hey, listen, if I was the GM, I'm not putting up with that crap. So telling you.
I love that answer. I do want to ask, as we transition here to some draft stuff, we've talked the last couple weeks on this show about this quarterback class, and it feels like the prevailing thought with this quarterback class as a whole is there isn't the top guy, whereas in years past you would have that clear-cut guy that no matter the class, he was that best quarterback. When you look at this quarterback class as a whole, Steve, what do you make of this group?
All right. So some of this stuff I'll probably be repeating, especially if any of your listeners and watchers saw any of the podcasts with Anita. And of course, she asks me the same thing because she's obsessed with quarterbacks. But I watched some of these guys, and I started watching Cam Ward. And you watch the beginning of the season, there's a lot to really get excited about. And look, you can't pick your opponents, but who they played in the beginning of the season, their schedule was really, really soft. And then as the season went on, and I watched a couple of games late against Syracuse and Georgia Tech, there were some mistakes that you wouldn't think a 6-year player would make. And that bothered me. Now, does he have a strong arm? Does he have nice legs? Does he have good size? He's got all the physical attributes you're looking for in a starting quarterback in the National Football League. And he makes some darn throws, and he gets out of tight places and does some really good things. But if I watched 100 throws on the tapes, and I watched more than that, 80 out of 100 throws, the receivers are wide open. I'm telling you, wide open. And that's not what you're seeing in the National Football League. These guys got all day to throw the ball. They can go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. If they want to scan all 5 receivers, at times they can do it. Well, that's not the NFL. So the more I watched them, at the end of the season, there were some things that I was not wow with. It's almost like, Dave, when you go to a movie and you come out of the movie theater and you go, hey, that was a really good movie. Wasn't a great movie. It was a good movie. You liked it, okay, somebody asked you about it, say, yeah, it was a good movie, but you weren't head over heels over it. And that's kind of how I was when I watched Cam Ward. I liked him, okay, but first pick in the draft, if you're taking him at number 1, well, you're a bad football team with a lot of holes, and he's not going to cover them all up. And he's not Superman to take you to the promised land. So I'd be happy if I wasn't in that position as number 1. So the 3 guys I studied a lot was Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Start. So when I first started watching Shedeur Sanders, I was not that enamored with him at all. He's not that big. He's got average size. He's got a little bit of an above average arm. He's got a good arm. He does not have a rocket launcher like some guys have. And, fleet foot, he's not Jaden Daniels that's going to run 4.4 and be a legitimate run threat or Jalen Hurts at the next level. So he has modest physical attributes for the next level. But the more I watched him, he just keeps growing on you because his decision making, his accuracy, his ability to throw with anticipation, is really good. So he tempers your enthusiasm because he does not have a great physical skill set, but the mental part of the game and where he comes from. Now, I'll back up a little bit, Dave. You know, when we talk about these players, it's not like when I scouted for the Giants and I was on the road and you got background information and you saw the guys in practice, you saw them around their peers and in the building, and you got all the extraneous information that helps you put the puzzle together. I'm just watching the tape. All right. So, and not seeing these guys throw the ball live, which is a big detriment for me in making an evaluation. But he's got something that's really very, very difficult, and I don't think you can teach anticipation. And he throws with anticipation, which is most college quarterbacks don't. And I'm not degrading any guy that I talk about, but take Justin Fields, for example. You know, you can argue that, you know, he's the top 5 athlete in the National Football League. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he's powerful, he's explosive. He's got a great arm, all right? But he still plays the game like he's at Ohio State. And that's let the receiver run his route, let him cut and get open, and now I'm going to throw the ball because I can stick it in there. Well, you can't do that in the NFL. Those windows do not exist. And if you don't throw with anticipation, and if you can't figure that part out, you're going to struggle all of your professional life. So, Shedeur Sanders has modest physical attributes, but the mental part of the game, he's pretty darn good. But the guy that I like the best of the 3 is Jackson Dart for a variety of reasons. The guy played in one college for 4 years, which is an anomaly. Okay, this portal and the NIL to me has destroyed college athletics tremendously. Don't begrudge the players the money, but a lot of guys are getting money that haven't earned it, and that's the big difference. College and the National Football League. You know, Jackson Dart was at Ole Miss for 4 years and had to endure Lane Kiffin for 4 years. That's a lifetime for a lot of people. I've been to too many of his practices with the verbiage that comes out, and his style of coaching. He expects those guys not only to score on every series, but almost every play. He expects a touchdown. So the pressure that this kid is under is tremendous. And all I saw was a guy for 4 years that performed and got better every year. He didn't lose to the teams that are the premier teams in the SEC, excuse me, because he was outplayed or couldn't handle the situation or was intimidated. He played at Ole Miss, and they didn't have as good of players as Georgia or Alabama or LSU. So I liked his steadiness. To me, he's got the skill set you're looking for starting quarterback. He's got some size. He's got a very good arm. His vision. He throws with anticipation. He doesn't panic when the things go south. And I really like, he's got maturity about him that too many quarterbacks come out too early in the National Football League. They're not ready for prime time. This kid's ready for prime time. He's seen a lot. He's a good prospect. Do I want to take him at the top of the draft? No. Like I said, I'm glad I'm not in that room anymore. But he's a good prospect. I think all 3 of them are good prospects. But are they franchise changers? That remains to be seen.
I wanted to ask you, you mentioned when you were talking about evaluating these guys and you're only going off the film, how valuable is it to scouts and even down to the GMs to be able to go see them in person and see them in practice as opposed to just sitting behind your computer, putting it on the TV and watching the film?
Oh, listen, to me, it's valuable. I did it for 33 years. I loved going to on Saturday. If there was an opportunity to schedule a triple header I used to do that. I do a game at 12, a game at 4, at 8. All right. The more opportunity you have to have touch points with players, whether it's on the field in pregame warmup, whether it's how he's interacting with his teammates on the practice field, um, going into the training room, and how he is with a student assistant trainer. All those things you put into your memory bank, and it all makes up what these players are and what they're going to be. For 32 years with the Giants and 1 year with the Buccaneers, usually your best players are your best people. And that's really important. People skills at all levels. Um, so the film is big, but it's only part of the equation.
Who is always your favorite person to talk to about a certain prospect that wasn't just a coach that you'd run into?
Oh, without mentioning names, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But there was a couple of trainers in all my years. They closed the door, and they would bare their soul, and they would tell you everything about that player. Okay, and a couple of strength coaches, and a lot of strength coaches I would take with a grain of salt, because if a guy was not a world class lifter, they would ding those guys. But there was a couple of guys that realized what their role was professionally and what they needed to do to help the players. And those are the guys that you really seeked out and got information from. And of course, some of the teams had, some of the colleges had great, great pro liaisons that would sit and not just give you the company line. And there was other places. To me, it was a waste of time. My time was valuable, and I'm at that school one day in the fall, maybe two, sometimes three if it's like Alabama with a lot of players over the years. But if you're going to school and you're only going there once, and the guy's going to BS you, um, I can't do that. The academic advisors, they have a role. How does the kid learn? Pro football, I think, our guys would get tested every week. They get written tests on the next opponent, and you got to know what the heck you're doing. So you want to be able to think fast to play fast. And guys that don't think fast, that are not smart, those are the guys.
I love that answer. Classic you, Steve. Because you talk about it in your book that I wish I had in front of me. I don't have it in front of me, but it is one of the best reads. We'll plug it at the end before we get out of here. I do want to talk about Shedeur Sanders, because you got to deal, when you were a scout with the Giants, with a famous football family in the Manning family, and we saw the influence that had with getting Eli to the Giants. And there's been that conversation, would Dion do that with Shedeur? So let me ask you, do you think that Dion would step in on draft night and say, no, Shedeur's not playing there?
Wow. That's a question I can't really answer. I will tell you this. I still do have a lot of friends in the business, and I've gotten a wide range of responses about this guy's character and personality. And some guys think he's a total jerk, and some guys think that, Dion's done a really nice job with him, and he's kind of in a tough situation because he's in the spotlight. And how do you handle that? How do you grow into it? So, you know, uh, Dion, to me, Dion's done a nice job. He's done a nice job as a coach. I don't know if anybody ever thought of him as a head coach or even assistant, because most times great players, they're not always the guys that are going to be the coaches, because they can't teach people to do what they did. I think from the things that I've heard him in all the interviews, he's teaching young people how to be men. And to me, that's more important than being a football player. The football player part of it will take care of itself. But if you're not a good man, you can't be a good professional. I don't know if that answers the question at all.
It does. Because to me, when I look at the Shedeur Sanders situation, I feel like because there are so many teams that need a quarterback, and you look at some of the places, you have the Giants, you have New Orleans, you have like the Jets potentially. Like, you have enough spots that I could still see. I don't think it would be a battle for Dion if Shedeur got drafted there. Because I think the reality is we can rule Cleveland out. I don't see Cleveland taking quarterback at 2. So the team I think that takes him is New Orleans, because now you have the Derek Carr injury. And at the end of the day, Shedeur Sanders is going to sell you tickets. And not that New Orleans needs that, but they need a little life in that offense right now. Their offense has been kind of stale the last couple of years, and Shedeur would be a breath of fresh air, bring some life to kind of a listless offense with Kellen Moore, who is used to having that type of mobile quarterback because he had Jalen Hurts for all those years.
Well, I tell you what, isn't NFL a long season? Because the first 2 weeks of the year last year, New Orleans didn't punt. Remember that?
Yeah.
They scored 40-plus points on the opener against, I believe, the Panthers. And week 2, they played Dallas, and they scored 40-plus points. And all of a sudden, this team wasn't punting. And then what looked like gangbusters really went south on them. So to say that they're not in the quarterback market, there's a lot of teams. Obviously Tennessee at 1. You're going to tell me Cleveland at 2 now that Joe Flacco's back? That solves their issues. So to say that they're not going to take one, tell me not everybody was shocked that Bo Nix went. Where did he go? 12 last year. Okay, so quarterback needy teams sometimes will reach instead of taking value. The Giants are at 3. New Orleans is at 9. The Jets are at 7. New Orleans is at 9. I don't have it in front of me. It's over the top of my head. So there's quite a few teams, and by everything that everybody reads, and by my calculations, there's 3 guys that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Jalen Milroe, some people really like. To me, I think he's a long way away. I kind of like the McCord kid that's at Syracuse a little bit in the later rounds. But now you're into a situation where, for the most part, if I'm sitting in the GM's chair or a personnel director's chair, those first 3 picks, they got to play on Sunday. They have to line up and play. So the quarterback of the future, either he's got to be the gem that you're going to take at the top, or I'm going to get a guy in the later rounds, or somehow make a trade and get rid of some picks if you have extra picks. But listen, first, second, third round, you're the New York Giants, and you're way down. Look at the NFC East. You got the world champion Eagles. You got Washington with Jaden Daniels. Dak Prescott's still in Dallas. Right now, you're with, guys on 1-year contracts. So what are you going to do? You got a coach on the hot seat. You got a general manager on the hot seat. You can bring in a quarterback from the future, but they still have to win now. They got to win this year. And I don't mean 5 wins. That's not enough. You got to be a representative. You got to be close at the end of the season to a wild card. 8 and 9. Give people some hope that next year, we could be over the top. And then if you're 8 and 9 or 9 and 8, you're not going to be in the Arch Manning sweepstakes. So you're kind of darned if you do and darned if you don't.
And it's interesting you said that, because I almost wonder if you aren't going to see teams say, we already like the quarterbacks better in next year's class, which again is a gamble because we're a whole year out. But you have Arch Manning, you have the kid from LSU, Newsomeyer, who I've already read some nice reviews about him from some people. I just wonder if there are going to be teams like Cleveland. To me, feels like they might be that team that says, you know what, we know we're probably not going to be very good in the AFC North. We might punt, and then our guy is in next year's class and not in this year's class. And I just wonder if we're not going to be surprised draft night at one of those teams that needs a quarterback that says, you know what, our guy isn't this year. Our guy is next year.
All right. So I certainly don't want to get off on the beaten path, my friend. But you're talking about Cleveland, okay, who just gave their defensive end a boatload of money to keep him because he makes them relevant on defense. You know, they're still pretty good team overall. They still have really pretty good players, okay? So, and then to say in the NFC North, you know, Cincinnati struggled, all right? They can't sign all their players. Pittsburgh, they don't know what they're doing. And you got the Ravens. All right, so you finish second and you make the playoffs. All right. Successful season. You've re-energized your fan base. So a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, who has anticipation and accuracy, hey, you know, all of a sudden 9-10 wins is not out of the realm of possibility. So to say these teams are not interested, I think every team is interested. You know, it's just how deep is your interest. So that's just my way of thinking. But heck, what do I know?
Excuse me. I do want to ask Steve before we get you out of here. Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Would you? How do you evaluate a guy that plays both ways? And do you think he can sustain that in the NFL?
No, I think it's unrealistic. Okay, and I hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. Okay, because I love watching him play. He's a great player, boy. I tell you what. But where are you going to play him? All right, every year. All right, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I did it for 33 years. I was in 33 draft rooms, and when you put your board together, on one side of the room you have your position board. So each position, so wide receiver, tight end, tackle, guard, center, on and on and on. You rate all those players at that position best to how far you want to go down. And then on the other board, you have your value board, which is your best players, irregardless of position. So we used to do it for a long time with the Giants. We rows of 32 because there's 32 teams. So there'd be 32 players in round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, through like 8 rounds. Well, the 32nd player or the 30th or the 29th player in round 1 aren't necessarily first round players, but that's the way you rank them, all right, to give us a semblance of order. So what I'm saying to you is, with Travis Hunter, every year I did it, on the position board, there'd be 5-6 rows of receivers. There'd be hundreds of receivers that are scouts that went all around the country, the area guys and myself, the over-the-top guys, and then the scouting directors and the general manager and the position coaches, all the guys that we would evaluate. There'd be rows and rows and rows of receivers. Some positions, center, middle linebacker, corner, there's not enough to fill up half a row, maybe 10 guys that you love. So based on that alone, you know, I'm playing him at corner. I'm starting him at corner. I mean, he is exceptional. He's an exceptional off-cover corner. And what I mean by that is he's not like Joey Porter Jr., who's 6'2" and 210 with long arms and can stand on the line of scrimmage and press the heck out of receivers. He's a guy that's going to play, you know, 5, 7, 10 yards off, and we call pedal and bail, and play off coverage in man or zone and anticipate and break on the football better than anybody else. I love him. I think he's an exceptional talent at corner. You watch him at receiver, Dan. I mean, his ball skills are exceptional. He high points the ball, he adjusts and all those things. But in pro football, your route concepts and the geeks involved and the intricacies, excuse me, all right, to running routes in the NFL, it's not like college football. How much time can he devote to that and play corner? So is he going to play 65 snaps on defense and 10 on offense? Maybe. All right. And, if some teams want to play him on offense, is he going to be your nickel corner on defense? I don't know. But to me, if I was making that decision, he's a corner. All right. Can he help as a punt returner? Can he help as a spot guy in special packages, maybe on the goal line, or, you're on a 2x2 set or a 3x1 set, and you want to try to get him the football in a one-on-one situation? Great. Okay. I can see that. But how much time can he devote to two different positions and be good, exceptional at both? I don't think that can happen. All right. That's just me. I'm being pragmatic about it, but I would seriously doubt that. So to answer your question, Dave, long-winded, okay, cotton mouth way to do it. All right. I didn't put a glass of water into my office and I needed one. But anyhow, so I hope that answers your question.
It does. Steve, it is always a pleasure when we get to have you on this podcast. I consider you a friend of this show, so we really appreciate it. We'll have you on again soon with everybody else.
Listen, I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm very humbled that you have me, all right, because I've been out of it for a while, but I still do enjoy it. My son is at UNC Chapel Hill as the video director, so I have access to tape, which is really good for me. It's still fun. It's still fun looking at players, and it doesn't get old for me.
Well, if you want to hear more from Steve Verderosa, you can get his book, which I have. It is a great read. So You Want to Be an NFL Scout, Stories of the Draft Players and Over 30 Years of Traveling on the Road. I highly recommend it. It is a great read. You hear the guy. He's a great guy. We love having him on. Steve, thank you for taking some time with us.
Dave, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the plug for the book. And you be well. I know you're a little bit under the weather. You're a trooper. And God bless. Have a great Easter. And I'll talk to you. I hopefully talk to you soon.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you to Steve. Up next, Keaton Mitchell of the Ravens, Dalton Wagner of the Raiders, and we're out of here. Happy Easter, everybody. Welcome back to the Ed Block CourageCast. Dave Steinwedel, Dwayne Clemens. We found Wally Williams, and we're pleased to be joined by 2024 Ed Block Courage Award recipient with the Baltimore Ravens, Keaton Mitchell. Keaton, you're the Ravens recipient. Look, you get a round of applause.
I appreciate it.
What does it mean to you to be here this weekend, now representing the Ravens as their Ed Block recipient?
It means a lot. Thanks to my teammates for voting me. Throughout the process of rehabbing and trying to get myself back on the field, it took a lot, ups and downs, not knowing if you'll be able to play the game again. Your teammates, you in the facility all day, every day. Your teammates seeing you work every day. So I just appreciate them for voting me for this award, and I appreciate y'all for having me here right now.
Now, look, man, nobody goes into the season now saying that, I'm going to win Ed Block.
Yeah.
Nobody ever comes in the league, come in there saying that. So, just, again, reiterate the process and just the resilience that it took for you to even get back on the field. The mentality that even takes for you to say, okay, this is nothing.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to get back out here and play.
It's just growing up, I played football since I was 6 years old. So it's like, it's all I know, and it's all I want to do. So it was natural to put everything into rehabbing and getting myself right to be able to play this game of football again. So.
Wasn't even a thought that like I ain't coming back. Wasn't even a thought, didn't even cross your mind.
Nah, more so like the mentality I'm gonna have when I'm back, like knowing that this game can be taken away from you at any time. So, just yeah.
So running backs and D linemen are kind of like the same as far as one of the hardest positions. You get hit double team, triple team. Sometimes you got 2 or 3 people hanging off of you. Being ready for that going into the season, how far away from being ready to take that kind of physicality do you think you are right now?
Well, I'm ready. Like once we get going, we going. Ain't no, it is what it is. I'll be ready for sure.
So there's no. So as far as training camps go, right now you're on schedule to be fully ready to go and participate. What about for the off-season training program?
Yeah, I'm doing all of it.
Oh, glad to hear that.
You know, one question I want to ask on the field a little bit though, because I often wondered this: when you see a run game, okay, as dangerous as the Ravens have, because it seems like everybody brings something different to the table. Even when Lamar's running the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Derek run the ball. That's right. He has a real
sure.
You got your own style right there. How you do things. Okay, tell me how you go into a game and during the week, and you actually look at a game plan and put your sauce into it and bring what you bring to the table.
Going into a game, I'm just really gonna do what I do regardless. I feel like with the guys we have, it's just hard to game plan for one person. So just each and every day throughout the week, I'm just working on the fronts, how they do what they do, see what they motor like, see just tendencies, and I'ma just play my game regardless. And I trust the OC and my teammates to be able to open things up for me, or me open things up for them, and yeah.
So what part of your game do you feel like you have to be the most intentional about to take that next step, to be the starter, making Pro Bowls, and hopefully get on track to make that Hall of Fame?
More so the passing game, and the blocking. I feel like it's always room for improvement. That's really it. Just being able to read defenses and blitzes and see what's going on their side of the ball, and be able to read it like with no hesitation. I feel like that'll just help me out a little bit more.
Heck yeah.
That's that vet savvy stuff.
Yeah.
Right there. What is your 3rd year coming up?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. That's when you get into that matrix.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the first couple of years, it's like
What's
zoom,
going
zoom,
on?
zoom, zoom. What's going on?
Yeah.
That 3rd year, you kind of.
I've seen this before.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
Shout out to my running back Coach Tag, man. He do a great job of teaching us that early.
Yes.
And when we first got there, and helping the game slow down for us. So shout out to him.
Hey, Coach Taggart, head coach at Florida State.
Yeah.
His son was the quarterback at Florida High School where I coach now. Hi,
Yeah.
so Taggart, I say what's up.
Oh, yeah,
6
for sure.
degrees of separation, man. Our circle is small, man.
Small world.
When you dig into it, I played with his daddy.
Yeah.
And,
Look at
you know,
that, look at that.
I mean, some of my teammates like TJ Usmanzada and Chad, and got to kind of they kind of let you grow up around them, right?
Yeah.
So it's such a small world how decades and decades have gone by, but we still all in that same little circle.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to be part of your game plan for the future after football?
More so doing what my dad did when he got done with the game. Just training kids, being a mentor for them, and letting them know the ways of life, not just football. Like the kids that has the dreams of being a professional athlete, what comes with it. The kids who struggle, that want to be an athlete, how to help them out, how to get them on the right track, and just be able to help people out in the younger generation.
Pay it back.
Yeah.
Does it mean a little bit more to you now this weekend that part of what we do at Block Weekend is we take you to St. Vincent Villa and you get to see kids at the Courage House that sort of what you're talking about
Yeah.
haven't had the same opportunities that we did when we grew up, and being able to help and just be around them for a couple hours.
Yeah, and my goal is just to put smiles on their face and just be there for them, make their day, and just have a good time. But it does mean a lot just to be able to do that for them.
All right, I have to ask this question. Everybody in Baltimore wants to know. Have you gotten over the playoff loss to Buffalo yet?
Yeah, everybody has. It's on to the next year. We ready to work. Yeah.
Maybe the fans could use that a little bit.
Well, they're going to hold on to it until
I was going to say, it's a little rough for some
until
people.
training camp. Until it may not go away. It may not go away till the playoffs start.
Exactly.
Fans get to fans get to do that, man.
Yeah.
Fans get to do that. We don't get it. We can't play
Yeah.
Do you sometimes tuck away a little of that energy for later on? Like, I know that tough loss. I'm gonna bring that back out for a little fuel next time we line up against them, whether it's in the preseason, the regular season, or the postseason.
Yeah, I'm letting it loose first game, and then every game after that. After my injury, I ain't holding nothing in, so it's.
So we used to call that. So you an EK, an everybody killer.
Yeah,
No matter who you playing against, they are whoever's playing that week. That's who you hate the most.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I ain't holding nothing back.
All right, well, Keaton, we know you just got in, so you want to get some rest, but congratulations. We can't wait to hang out with you all weekend and have some fun.
Y'all.
Welcome back to the Ed Block CourageCast. Dave Steinwedel, DB, Wally Williams, DC, and probably the biggest guy that I think we've ever interviewed here during the Courage Award. He towers, just so you know. Las Vegas Raiders Ed Block Courage Award recipient Dalton Wagner back with us, and actually in person. So, Dalton, what does it mean to now be in the city knowing that it is Ed Block weekend?
It's very exciting. We were flying in the whole time, and I kept tapping my wife the whole time. I'm like, man, we're finally here. It feels like we've been waiting a while since we've done the interview last time. And, the weekend's kicking off. You can see you guys, it's very well run this weekend. I was like, whoa, when we stepped out to play, and everyone's waiting right there. It was pretty awesome. So, feels like the real deal, man, I'll tell you what.
You're a big timer. You need to be treated that way.
Yeah,
So are you saying,
so.
I got to ask, are you saying that you were really looking forward to coming back and doing this interview?
100% I was. I had a lot of fun the first time. Felt like it was, you got to have a little more fun.
All right, so now you're here. You're in the midst of it, all those things like that. You've been to the hotel, now you're here with us now. What has been your emotions so far, and how are you feeling about tomorrow and anticipating that?
I think the biggest emotion I felt so far today has been like a sense of pride, and kind of how I've portrayed my character enough to my teammates that they were, they voted for me to get this award, and it's an immense sense of pride to see what goes into this award. The manpower behind getting everything set up. Not even just everything here, but just the whole Ed Block Foundation in general. It's pretty awe-inspiring, and so to be able to sit here, it's just pride. It's a lot of pride.
We got a lot of big news coming out of Raider Nation. Have you been?
Oh yeah. We stepped off the plane and ESPN was blowing up. Everything was blowing up. So yeah, it's very exciting news. I'm excited to meet Chino. It's going to be an awesome time. I think we're going to get along great. I've had some teammates that have played with him in the past, so I've heard nothing but great things about him. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Have you met Pete Carroll already?
I have, yes.
He didn't take his shirt off like he did with DK Metcalf.
No, he did not. Not for me, no.
I mean, but for those who don't know the breaking news that happened today.
Geno Smith
Geno
traded
Smith traded to
for
the
a
Raiders
third-round pick.
for a third-round pick to the
And
Raiders.
expected to get a new deal between $40 and $45 million a year.
Hey, you don't have to say this. I'm gonna say this for you, though. I think that's an excellent move by the Raiders. I don't think they should go out and draft a quarterback in this year's draft in the first round. Okay, I'm not shitting on the quarterbacks out here today. Okay, but
All fair.
I don't think any of them are worth a first round. Quarterbacks that we had last year in the draft. If these same two quarterbacks or three quarterbacks are coming out this year in this year's draft, and with that group of quarterbacks, none of those guys will be first round picks.
Okay,
That just may take. There you go. That's my take on it. So I love what the Raiders are doing right now.
Okay, let's change gears a little bit. I remember doing the initial interview, we talked about your injury and how unique it is, but we didn't actually talk about how it happened.
Yeah.
How did it happen?
So, typical fashion of my luck, it was the very last play of the Rams game of our second preseason game, my rookie year. Pretty base plan. It was we were booting out to the right, so O-line's running, selling zone left. As run of the mill as you can get with generic play, I guess. I was playing right tackle at the time. You open up left, you're running, trying to scoop out that 3 tech, and you're working with your guard. And as I just opened up, like I pressed off my right side, and I felt this twinge right in my groin, and I'm like, that's weird. It kind of felt like you pulled something, like a hammy. You kind of popped it a little bit, and I'm like, all right, like, whatever, that hurt, that sucked, but it is what it is. It kind of limping a little bit, and so we get back to Las Vegas, and I just it just still was hurting. So I'm like, all right, so obviously, I popped something. Like, I didn't think it was a tear or anything bad like that. I thought it was just, you strained it, you overextended, probably was playing a little outside of my frame, and that's exactly how it happened. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm going through the whole week. We're prepping for the Cowboys as they're coming into town this last week, and all week, man, I'm like, I can't lift up my leg. I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, and again, in my head, I'm like, I'm being soft. You know what I mean? Like, it's NFL. Like, this is the business. Like, you're gonna be sore, you're gonna be hurt, you're gonna be tired. This is the first time I'm really feeling it. So I'm like, it is what it is. So I just keep playing. And my trainer's like, man, he's like, I really want to get an MRI on it just to make sure. So we go get an MRI on it. Cowboys come to town, and my O-line coach at the time's like, he's like, I really want you to play left tackle. And like, I remember sitting there, and I'm like, I'm going to do what is asked of me. But I remember telling my trainer, I'm like, I really do not think I can play left tackle. Like, to strain and try to push off of where it was torn and everything, we didn't know it was torn at the time, but to try to do that, like, I couldn't do it. Like, I'd done it in practice, and, like, I was almost in tears, like, feeling it. And so we get to the game, played pretty well, just in a lot of pain the whole game. And so something was up there, and finally get back to Las Vegas after we played the Cowboys, and my trainer's just like, Chris Cortez, I love the guy. He's like, there's something more to this man. I can feel it. I know it. I'm sending you out to Philly. Dr. Myers going to take a look at it. And Dr. Myers right away is like, okay, so we're going to get you in surgery. And I'm like, what? Surgery? What you mean surgery? And he's like, yeah. He's like, can you get someone out here as soon as you can? And I'm like, crap, my wife's in Italy. She just graduated college. She's enjoying a nice vacation. She can't come out. So then I call my dad, and my dad's like, dude, I'm on a flight to Texas. I got to go take care of this work thing. I can't redirect and get there in time. So I called my mom and got everything all together, moving it out and getting it all worked out. But, man, you want to talk about a whirlwind and a welcome to the NFL moment. I did not know it moved that quickly, especially with the injuries. It moved very fast. Like, I will never forget, it was that Monday of cut week, and I was in there working out, running the mill, and Chris Cortez comes in, and he's like, hey, man, he's like, you got to flight to Philly in 2 hours. And I'm like, I got dogs. I got to figure out how to get to the airport. And he's like, no, we'll get you to the airport. Go pack a bag real quick. So then I'm calling my agent, who also I learned that you got to tell your agent about everything you do. Yeah. And he informed me if I get a hangnail, I need to let him know. But as a rookie, I did not know that. And
Shout out to your agent for it.
Yeah, shout out Brett Tessler. Shout out Brett Tessler for informing me of what I need to do. I did not handle that the right way. But again, I thought I was just, you're an old lineman. You know what I mean? Like, stuff happens.
Taping up, let's go.
Exactly.
Right,
and so.
Right.
So I had to call Brett, and as I'm packing a bag, Brett's like, why didn't you tell me, man, what's going on? And so then we got it all sorted out, everything happened, got the surgery done, and rehab went well. But, man, you want to talk about a whirlwind, I'll never forget that for the rest of my life, how quickly all that stuff happened. It was just, it was a tornado. It was absolutely wild. I couldn't believe how quick it all worked.
I figured that Dr. Myers had something.
Oh, yeah. Best in the business is what I've heard, and he did a wonderful job.
For those of y'all who, Dr. Myers is a groin specialist, sports hernia specialist based out of Philadelphia. So we send all our groins and hernia stuff, we just send it to Dr. Myers, he take care of it.
You didn't get the old you played old line. Jesus Christ, you don't even need a groin.
You're all right. Come on. Throw some tape on there. You wear knee braces. How much do you really run? Yeah. It's like, you don't run that much. It's back, right?
That's what you get when you play online. Yep. You don't know about that.
Yeah, so apparently, from my understanding, Dr. Myers informed me that at some point in college, it must have missed the MRI screening at the combine and some other stuff, that my left side was torn. And it was actually worse than my right side one was. My right side was just the one that happened immediately and was presented.
So you didn't complain at all at the combine about any guilt?
Never even felt it. Never even knew.
That's amazing.
I had no idea about it. And he was like, yeah, we got some.
You would have complained if you would have said, or they
immediately, yeah.
They would have MRI.
I spent enough time in those MRIs, man. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, they were. They sent me back that night too to get some more, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Like, but they did their due diligence. But yeah, the groin, he said, was some point in college, so is what it is. They took care of it. It's all healed up now. Dealt with scar tissue. It was a long rehab process, but we're back, still playing.
Yeah, you mentioned Chris. Chris is a good guy too.
I love Verderosa. You want to talk about that guy loves rock and roll and metal music more than anyone I've ever met in my entire life. He is, and you wouldn't have guessed it. When I first met him, I would have never guessed that he was a metalhead or anything. And then I go and meet him for the first. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Guy, a little bit great dude.
Well, there's
Great
gonna
athletic trainer.
there's gonna be a mosh pit tomorrow night. Are you?
I guess I'm gonna have to get in, man. I'm gonna have to let the hair down, let it
In the mosh pit, what about the dance off?
Oh, that's right. There's a dance off tomorrow.
I will be losing the dance off and being laughed off the stage. So I would like to avoid the dance off.
For the kids, man.
For the kids, all right. I'll hit an awkward gritty and that'll be it.
Hey, I'll already be on the dance floor for most of the day anyway, so you know that's why I'll be hanging out.
All right, Dalton, I have to ask you this because your bio was one of the more fascinating ones when we're looking this up. I got to ask you, in college, you signed an NIL deal with the WWE.
Oh, yeah.
And you were, hold on, this is the part that amazes me the most. You were rumored to be a future star of the WWE.
Yeah.
Before signing with the Raiders. How did all of that come to be? Oh, hold on. That reaction is everything I need to know about this.
Well,
Let me tell you.
Doesn't feel pain.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It worked out pretty well. It's a solid career path post-NFL. If you all are interested, I've got some contacts. You can make it work and get a little tag team going. Come on, guys. But, man, the WWE thing, that was something that came out of the blue. I'll tell you what. Like, when NIL started, it was my second to last year at Arkansas, and it was the Wild West, but not the Wild West that you see now. It was like the start of the Wild West, where it was just like, yeah, you know, like, we're just going to give you some free barbecue here and some T-shirts. And it's like, dude, I'm on top of the world, man. Like, this is awesome.
Right, let's go.
All I can eat barbecue? You got to be kidding me, man. Like, I was like, I thought I was a superstar. And so around, I think it was November, WWE actually had DM'd me on Instagram. So at first I thought it was like a scam. You know what I mean? Like, just someone just messing with you or whatever it was. And like, hey, we got a cool business opportunity for you. We're working on the NIL game. We really want you to be a part of our inaugural class of the we're trying to reach and create a pipeline from college to WWE. You know, they love pro athletes. You got to be able to move, sell stuff, do all stuff like that. You know, you got the build for it. You know, your history. You know, I always talk about WWE, high school, college, all the interviews and everything. I'm always a big WWE fan, and so to see what kind of came of that, I was like shocked, and I'm like, this has got to be fake, man. There's no way this is real. And so
Trust the internet.
yeah, right. So then I go and you know, and I actually get a call and. They're like, yeah, we're going to send over a contract, you know, and we're going to pay you some dollars, and basically you just shout us out on social media. We're going to use your name, image, likeness to promote the WWE. In addition, you have to attend one in-person event. So I'm like, oh, cool. So it'll be like some signing or something. They're like, yeah, we're going to get you out to the Royal Rumble. I'm like, sold. Immediately sold. Where's the contract? Signing it immediately. So they were like... And they took me out, and I took my brother with me because we grew up WWE fans, and like we were always wrestling, doing everything, and so we got to go to the Royal Rumble and backstage meet all the superstars, like see how the whole world works. But again, you know, you're doing headshots, you're doing all that stuff. Like it was a pipeline to legitimately make it to the WWE, and at the end of the contract, it was you have the option. There's nothing set in stone. You know, it's just an option that at the end, if you want, you can go to Florida, check out the Performance Center. And try to, you know, build into the program. And they've got tryouts and NXT and all that stuff. It's like an open trial kind of thing. And so when I tell you, like, opportunity of a lifetime, I had to do it. There's no arguing against it. And so I ended up signing with them, met some really cool people from them, and decided to go back for my last year at Arkansas and played pretty well. well enough to, I guess, to make it to the NFL, and got some problems fixed from my medical history, and really dominated enough to be able to make it to the NFL. And so I had to put the WWE on hold for now. But maybe, in a couple of years, maybe turn on, SmackDown or Raw, maybe. That's how it all rolls.
So you got more views planned for your body after the NFL?
Yes, 100%.
And I hear they don't get many days off.
No, not at all. And you're always traveling. You're always playing. Like, I was talking to some of the guys about it. I actually met Braun Strowman out, Adam Scher. I met him out because actually it was that SHOT Show in Las Vegas, and I actually met him, and we got to talking, and he's like, man, the travel's brutal. He's like, it's tough. He's like, you're working 340, 320 days out of the year, basically, and nonstop. You're just doing a ring around the United States, just wherever it is, wherever you go, and you're just constantly wrestling, getting ready, doing it all. Like, and man, I'll tell you what, the production, it's like football. Like, they're doing walkthroughs. Like, they're installing, like, it's a whole thing, man. And like, their game time is when the cameras come on, and like, it's a whole thing they're doing. So like, it was very impressive to see that side of everything.
So what is going to be your deal? Are you kind of in the grave digger kind of mode? You good guy, bad? What would you like to put out there if you had your own?
If I did?
Yeah, if you did.
It'd have to be the silent heel, some sort of Kane Undertaker amalgamation or something like that. The bad guy that everybody don't like, but he don't say nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he just he goes out, he handles his business, he walks back in, and it's like, dang, that guy kicked butt.
Hey, they need an Undertaker, man.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They need that. You know what I mean?
Did you get to pitch your own character, or do they just totally make up your character for you?
They make up your character for you. They'll do all that stuff. Yeah, no, it seems, I mean, like, obviously they'll base it off your personality. Like, one of the guys I did it with was out of Northwestern, and Tank Ledger's his WWE name, but it was Spivak, Joe Spivak, and he was a D lineman out of Northwestern. I mean, dude was built. He was built, man. Solid dude. And so he's actually in NXT now, rolling, kicking butt, and he's got his whole persona and all that stuff. And you follow him on social media. I still follow him on social media and stuff. It cracks me up, man. I mean, he's killing it, man. He loves every second of it, because he's one of those juice guys. He loves the weight room and everything. Like, you can tell it. And so he was perfect fit for the whole WWE. Perfect fit.
Now, this might be too way back for you, but I know you probably wish you could have came to Minneapolis, because, back in the day, we used to have Ric Flair, Dwayne The Rock.
Yep.
All these guys lived in Minneapolis. Jesse the Body Ventura. It was like all the big wrestlers lived in Minneapolis. I didn't realize this till I was a rookie, and I was hanging out with John Randall, and he started introducing me. So I'm like, what are all the dang wrestlers doing here? But I guess they had a farm there where they all trained and developed. Is that still a thing? Where they
moved that down to Orlando. The Performance Center is now in Orlando, and that's where they work out, they train, they work on new moves, like everything, and that's down in Orlando now. That's like, they broke ground on a new, I mean, it's pretty legit. Like,
much better weather.
Much better weather. Yeah, that's fair. Much better weather, and man, that facility that was really nice looking. That facility was.
Dalton, you are one of our favorite people that we've gotten to talk to. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for taking some time with us. Cannot wait to celebrate and party a little bit this weekend. So congratulations, and a lot of fun in store here this weekend.
Enjoy the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.